I said 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to the Always Hungry. Oh,
right, oh my goodness! Wrong podcast. We can't edit
that. That wasn't on purpose. I promise.
What just happened?
Welcome to Going the Distance podcast. What happened is, Kyle, is I accidentally said the wrong podcast. What can I say?
Ruben was about to say welcome to the Always Hungry podcast, which we might as well get out of the way. Ruben, do you have another podcast that you're part of?
I do. Apologies, everybody. Yeah, welcome to Going the Distance. We got Ryan here.
Hey, what's up?
Hey, and Kyle.
Howdy.
And so, Ryan, why don't you explain what we're using?
Well, if you're watching this, that means you're watching on YouTube. I don't think I have to explain what YouTube is. We're doing a podcast recording of Going the Distance, and this is just the unedited, us chatting, us talking, and this will not be what you hear on the podcast when it's released, but if you want to join the fun and how the cookie is made or how the dough is made or how the sausage is packed, this is us.
Sweet.
So let's get into it. Where we last see.
Hold on.
Okay, go ahead, Rube.
You said unedited. Are we going to cue the music for audio or no?
Of course, we're going to cue the music. So I think we should cue the music.
All right.
You sounded really clear there, Rube. I don't know what you did different, but that all right was nice and loud and proud.
Thank you. How's this?
Better voice projection, enunciate your words, no mumbling. I have the tendency to talk fast, so I'm going to work on talking slower.
Oh, I see what you did there. You brought up the faults that you have in yourself to show that you're just one of the people. You're like, yeah, that's what leaders do. Hey, speaking of enunciating, completely nothing to do with Rocky. Ryan and I saw Henry Rollins do a spoken word thing. For those that don't know who Henry Rollins is, don't worry about it. But the man spoke for 2 hours and 20 minutes plus without going taking a sip of anything to drink, and didn't even breathe.
Yeah, it
was very impressive. It was a tour de force. So I'm going to try to channel my Henry Rollins tonight by enunciating my words.
All right. Yeah, good point. Let's enunciate and let's be like Henry Rollins without the buff body.
Or a dysfunctional wife.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. We might have dysfunction. So we're going to get started with the where we left off. The last episode, man, I love editing. Okay, we are going to start off with the dock scene. This is where Paulie is working the docks. He's slim, he's fit, he's in charge, he's the man in charge, and Rocky has driven his Trans Am to the docks to make a transaction. Kyle, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So Rocky is a little low on funds at the moment, and I guess he didn't buy his Trans Am outright. He's making payments right now. So.
Yeah, I find that funny.
I think it just pushes the story along.
He probably got had. He probably was paying like a huge interest rate, and Rocky's he's not too shrewd, as Mickey would say. So,
yeah, good point.
We'll do about 35% just because we like you, just because you're a nice guy, Rocky.
Yeah, you got to figure the car dealership people might have taken Rocky for, may I say, for a spin.
My left eye getting that trash can. Okay, anyway, so Paulie was just finishing up with the guy. He didn't seem to break his thumb or anything. He was just saying, like, oh, you got more stories than the book or something like that.
Yeah.
And he's consuming a new snack that we never saw last time, the snow cone.
Yeah, the snow cone makes his first appearance.
Yeah, and it's mentioned later in the film, I believe.
Yeah, don't get ahead.
We'll get to. I'm just keeping the audience. I'm just baiting the audience a bit.
Just
so they're on the edge of their seat. So,
You're a master, Kyle.
it's I've been working all day on this ever since Ryan invited me. I've just been in my basement with strategies, plans. I got it all worked out.
Well, good. Yeah. So he comes to Paulie and says, "Hey, do you want to buy my car?" He doesn't even say that I'm having financial problems or I'm having issues. He just says, "Hey, Paulie, you want to pick up the payments on my car?" Of course, Paulie goes, "You having troubles? You having some financial? You having some money troubles? I can give you a handout. I can give you a handout." He says.
Yeah, you need bread, and I guess Paulie is. I guess he's a better loan shark or collector than Rocky was, because it seemed like when Rocky was working for Gazzo, he was kind of living hand to mouth. He dressed very poorly. He lived in a dump. And Paulie, he's always like in a nice suit and is willing to give out handouts. Although he probably has some of that $3,000 he got from the robe.
Yeah. The
He
Shamrock.
spent $250 on that escort lady on the first fight, so he has $27.50, or not 27, $29,750 left. So I actually have horrible math, so never mind.
No, that's pretty
you can
good.
add
I think you got the gist of the numbers, but you gave him like
Yeah.
20. You gave him an extra $20,000, but that's okay.
No big deal. It's not like I work in financial companies or anything. It's not like people trust me with their money. Anyways, so Paulie seems to be doing really well. Maybe he doesn't have the conscience thing in his way. He could just collect unabated. So yeah, he seems to really be confident and happy. Paulie's pretty much at his apex right now, I think.
Yeah, good point.
Like, you never see him better in the film.
Ruben? Okay.
I'm so nervous to cut in for the sound quality to go down.
Okay, you don't have to be that nervous. I should have just said be mindful, not Nazi about it. I apologize.
I forgive you. I forgive you. I forgive you. Hey, as I like, Paulie likes being, in my opinion, the go-to guy.
Sure.
Yeah, so you're right. It's the apex of his life.
Well, he's got Rocky, the celebrity for the week, kind of like coming to him like, "Oh, yeah, you want a handout? I'll take care of it. Yeah, it's no big deal."
Yeah, because in the previous movie, Paulie was looking for a handout.
Right. Tables have turned.
Yeah, and this time I guess he's showing Rocky that he's more gracious.
You don't want to get with Gazzo?
Rocky's obviously really embarrassed.
Well, yeah.
Like, he's not admitting it, and he's having a hard time.
He should be embarrassed. Look at that tiger jacket he's wearing.
Yeah,
that's a great jacket. I don't know why you take issue with it.
I have a really hard time with animal print clothing.
Oh, well, we'll have our struggles.
Yes.
Prints in our clothing. Nice mixed gem shirt you got there, brother.
Yeah, for those who can see this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm wearing mixed gym. It gets me the spirit, the podcast spirit. I'm wearing Rocky swag.
I am too.
Oh, you're wearing his famous.
I got the boxers on.
Yeah, nice. Kyle, who are you wearing, Kyle?
I'm wearing a black shirt from Old Navy. I believe I got for less than $10.
Nice. If you buy anything over $10, it's not good.
No, I actually did buy some Rocky swag about 10 years ago in Philadelphia. There was I was in this mall.
On the streets of Philadelphia?
Yeah, I visited Philadelphia in 2007, and I was in this mall, and there's a Rocky store in the mall.
Oh, wow.
And I bought the Win Rocky Win shirt, which he was wearing, I think, in the first film when he was punching the bag.
No, that was the second film, Train Montage, because it was after Adrian says win. he's wearing the When Rocky Wins shirt during the skipping scene or something. I'll have to go back, but
I think it's in the first two. I'm going to look this up. I'm writing a note here. I have a notepad.
please do. But I'm 99% sure he had no printed shirts in the first movie with any kind of verbiage on.
84% sure.
Okay, audience, if you're listening, find out for me.
Okay, we'll wait.
Oh, never mind. I missed that part. And then also downtown Philadelphia, there were people selling Rocky merchandise on the streets. So this film really affected that city to that degree. It's like Rocky is almost a tourist attraction. A movie that was done would have been 30 years ago back then, 40 years ago now.
Well, we interviewed, of course, Mike Kunda, who does the whole Rocky tour there. I mean, so it really is well, and understandably so. It's what that city's kind of known for.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. So there's some interesting things came from the stock scene. Was one, of course, we talked about Paulie looking thin, slim, and we talked about this before, but we'll talk about it now. Burt Young, he's very thin here. This is the thinness of all the Rocky movies. This isn't a weight thing. I'm not saying it's bad or good to be fat or skinny. I'm just saying, as an actor, for whatever reason, I don't know if he was on the Atkins diet or something between Rocky 1 and 2, but he lost and it's interesting that when previously in the movie when Paulie gives Rocky the job at the meat factory, the one of the workers at the meat factory looks to Paulie and says, "Hey, Paulie, you're looking kind of thin there. You look like you lost some weight." So it was actually addressed even in the movie that Paulie / Burt Young is much thinner now than he was even a few years previous. But that's the only time we saw him that thin.
Yeah, and I doubt they made him lose weight for the movie. Maybe they did. But I think if you want to guess as to why, it could be because working in that profession, you probably have to walk everywhere all the time. So he's constantly kind of exercising. And he probably one thing I've noticed about Paulie in this film is he doesn't drink a whole lot. You see some evidence that he drank, but he was drinking constantly in the first one. He probably wasn't moving a whole lot, probably ate a ton, emotionally eating when he got home. And so he's just a better, well-adjusted person. For as much as Paulie can be well-adjusted, he was pretty well-adjusted. And I think when we were talking about this before, it's the tail. There's Paulie really morphs a lot in these films. In the first film, Paulie's really dark character. He's not funny at all, unless it's kind of in a sad way. And he's all confident and well-adjusted in the second movie. And then he kind of just goes silly in the next movies, and he serves as comic relief. And so, I don't know. It's funny how that character evolves.
Not really on the same note. I want to go back a little bit about what Philly is famous for. I had to Google. The Rocky Steps is number 9.
What?
Out of what Philly is famous for, according to visitphilly.com. So, yeah. So I just thought that might be of interest. So number 8, the Franklin Institute.
Yeah, I've been there. Yeah.
Franklin Square. Number 6.
That's downtown.
Longwood Gardens. Number 5, the zoo.
I hear there's a lot of short buses at the zoo.
Number 4, Peddler's Village. Number 3, Valley Forge National History Park.
Yeah. I bet I know number 1.
Number 2, Independence Visitor Center.
Can I guess number 1? Can I guess number 1 before you get there?
Oh, I'm there now. So go.
Oh, you just muted yourself by accident there, Rube.
Oh, go and guess. Go and guess one.
Does it have to do with ding ding?
Ding ding.
Ding.
Yeah, the bell, Liberty Bell, right?
Yeah, for those about to rock.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Bruno. You're my Google guy. I love it. You're the guy that brings in the trivia, the behind the scenes stuff. I love it because I always forget about that stuff. The peripheral stuff, so to speak, of the movie, of the community, and I just find it surprising that number 9. I mean, it's just my biased view because that's all I care about. The Philly is the Rocky heritage, but obviously the city is known for much more than that, of course.
I guess, yeah, the Declaration of Independence of what birthed America.
And
that's why the fight was in Philly.
That's right. What was the saying again? Why better have the fight here on the?
Oh no! It's what better than to get it on with one of his descendants?
That's right.
And then earlier on TV, Apollo was like, "I'm going to duplicate the cracking of the Liberty Bell by cracking Mackley Green."
Okay.
That's right. That's awesome.
I think it'd be fun. Okay, being a writer, and because I'm not sure if you've noticed or not. I don't mean to get controversial here, but Stallone is of Italian heritage, which makes him white.
Is he white?
Apollo Creed.
Racist you are, Ruben.
Apollo Creed's character, I'm not sure if you've noticed, but he's African American. So Stallone had to write those lines that he would think a black person would say.
Yeah, that's actually a good point, and that's actually a very good thing to bring up that we haven't really brought up, is when people write movies, well, let's kind of skip to contemporary times, well, today. Quentin Tarantino, of course, I don't know if you've seen any of his movies or all of them or what have you, but he often writes for a lot of black characters, and those black characters will say dialogue that a white person would never, ever, you would never say unless you want your butt kicked. You don't say the dialogue some of these characters say in general, but let alone, certain nationalities say certain things within their culture. In fact, so we know Quentin Tarantino does that, and I would assume the actors are in agreement with what he writes because they'd love to work for him. Another interesting thing is Kevin Smith actually talked about this. When he wrote for Dogma, and he had Chris Rock in it, Chris Rock had this line. I can't remember the line. Even if I did, I wouldn't say it. But it had to do, of course, with some racial slur, or some sort of racial joke or slur that Chris Rock wanted his character to say. And Kevin Smith says, "Well, no, it's hilarious, but you can't say that because I wrote the film." And people will think that So to bring to your point, Ruben, Kevin Smith actually said, "Don't say that because." They'll think I wrote that, even though you're saying it, that I came up with that racist type joke that you're delivering. But Chris Rock's like, don't worry about it. It's too funny. If anyone says anything, I'll defend you. So that dialogue actually does happen, at least in Kevin Smith movies. So that happens in people's minds. Like, how do I write for a different race? That's an interesting point. So
you're welcome.
So when he was 30. He wrote for Creed. And so I wonder, though, how much Carl Weathers brought that kind of jazz and, that swagger. And
they picked Carl Weathers because he was natural. His natural personality was like Apollo Creed's.
I guess the dialogue, don't be a stinker, be a thinker, stay out of school. Was that? I wonder how much of it was riffing. Is what I'm saying. How much was Carl Weathers riffing, or was it literally the dialogue that Stallone wrote? I don't know how much we'll know about that.
It's funny because it just occurred to me. It's funny we're talking about the first film so much, but when he was saying that, the character Carl Weathers' original profession was an athlete. Carl Weathers is a former BC Lion.
That's right.
And a former Oakland Raider.
I did not know that.
Yeah. So he was a stinker and not a thinker at one point.
Well, it's interesting, and it probably explains that natural. Quite frankly, he was quite ripped and built already when Rocky I was filmed.
Yeah, he's a natural athlete. He's a lot bigger than Sylvester Stallone. He's about 4 inches taller and about 25 pounds heavier.
Did you guys see? Ruben, go ahead. You're gonna say something there, Ruben?
Yeah, I decided not to say it.
Remember, this is going on YouTube. Okay.
That's why I decided not to say anything.
People say offensive things on YouTube?
No, it's not offensive. I think there's going to be some joke about size. difference.
Oh, yeah. Certain things are only measured in inches, no matter what. like height.
I don't know. Yeah, height, foot size. Okay, so what was? Oh, did you guys see the Golden Globes mini reunion between Carl Weathers and Stallone? Final presentation.
Yeah.
Of the,
No, I missed
Yeah.
that.
yeah, Carl Weathers and Stallone came out to present the Best Picture Golden Globe,
Oh.
and there was some controversy because people will try to find controversy when it comes to race in everything. So Stallone said, and the winner is, and he gave the envelope to Carl Weathers to read the winner. And the winner happened to be a movie called Moonlight, which is, I don't know much about it, but it looks like it's an all African-American type cast written by an African. So it's a black cast, black movie type thing. And people are saying, oh,
I think it's called film noir.
yeah. So that being said, people are trying to find, like, Stallone was mad that this movie won because it was from black people. Yes, I'm not even joking. I'm not even so he wouldn't even read the winner. But the logical choice is, the obvious reason is he gave Carl Weathers an opportunity, who doesn't do this very often. Stallone goes to war shows a lot and what have you, but he said, hey, why don't you have the honor of reading Best Picture? I'll give you the honor. That's how I took it.
Yeah, people always make up a fuss about something. You know, if it wasn't for the internet, we would not know about it.
Yeah, that's a great point, Ruben. Yeah, it's a very good point. If this same event happened with 40 year ago technology for communication,
No.
it would have happened, and maybe someone might have said something on the water cooler, but there would have been no a post like chain writing to Universal Studios, wherever. Oh, do you see what Sylvester Stallone did? Yeah.
You know, the three of us being Canadian, I imagine, Kyle, your experience is the same as Ryan and mine. But, like that would have never even crossed my brain. Like, because I lived in the States in New Jersey for a bit. And that was like my first time ever encountering racial tension.
Well, it is real there. It is real. For what we you're right. We don't. I mean, there are different parts of Canada, so it almost depends where you are. We won't get into the whole.
Okay, but where I'm from is like.
Yeah.
Now, granted, most people are white, but if there's somebody of color, nobody.
We do have a lot of non-white people here.
Well, we do. Okay, so there's never been an issue, like any way, shape, or form.
Victoria's pretty good. I noticed that while I was there, actually.
You're in Alberta.
There are.
Yeah, so Alberta.
It's a little. People have different views here about certain things. It's not like the States necessarily, but yeah, in Victoria, it's a little more homogenous, which is nice.
Yeah, a little bit more liberal and happy, and everyone's.
Should say homogenous. Sorry. I mean, like everyone kind of integrates better. That's what I meant to say.
That's good. That's the way it should be. So let's just everyone let's just all get along.
Well, yeah. So it's weird that somebody, like, for me, it's more alien that somebody would come up with this thing that Carl Weathers is, or no, Stallone is upset that there's a black movie out there.
Like, well, remember that line from Rocky 1, right?
Sorry, what was that, Kyle?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Ruben. Remember that scene for the first movie where during the press conference, and the reporter's like, it is a coincidence that a white man's fighting a black man on the most celebrated day in this country's history. And then Apollo's like, I don't know about that. Maybe it's a coincidence that a black man's fighting a white man on the most celebrated day of the country's history. We just reversed it, whatever the order was. So
yeah,
there's a little bit of that there in that movie.
And it's interesting who wrote that movie. You know, Stallone wrote that, and so by writing that, Ruben, Ruben looks like you had something to say, but your microphone was muted. Oh, he's just yelling. He's just yelling. He's in a rampage right now, but we can't hear anything he's saying because the microphone is muted.
On YouTube, do you see the three? No, just whoever's kind of majorly speaking. All right.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's why I did a verbal.
Okay. So So if I need to go for like a pee break or something like that, just mute it. Nobody will know.
That's true. But I don't unless you take the camera with you into the bathroom and your urination sounds are much stronger than our talking, and then your video would then override our talking. That would be the only scenario that I could think of.
Don't let the Russians get that video, or they'll use it to blackmail you.
Oh my god! How can we not talk about Trump for 1 minute? No.
All right, let's. Has anybody heard? He's president.
Yes, this is great. Yeah, what day is it today? Because the world ends in 6 days. Okay, here we go. Well, let's see if we can get this episode out before he takes office. All right. Well, as Canadians, we'll push forward here and hope for the best. Okay, so we'll just type the doc scene. This is actually a really kind of a sad scene of many sad scenes are about to come up in this movie. This whole, oh yeah, your free meeting will end in 10 minutes. Just so you know, yeah, because we're poor. We're going to have to, in 10 minutes, it's going to stop and we'll just re-invite and go again. Just FYI. Okay. So this is part 1. It's 40 minutes per video. Okay. I don't know if you guys saw that alert, but I just got the alert. Okay. All right, roger that. Okay, so it gives me a little counter here. Nice. Okay. Oh yeah, so the doc scene. This is a scene where it's kind of sad because we see Rocky feeling bad about himself, his situation. He knows that it's hard for him to go to Paulie and kind of say, "Hey, can you take over this burden of debt that I have?" And Paulie says, "Sure. You know, if you need a ride, just give me a call." Another last part of the scene that we'll talk about is he says to Paulie says to Rocky, "Hey, is the wife giving you trouble at home?" And then he suggests to Rocky to, you should punch her teeth out. And I don't think he was trying to be funny. It was just, this is again kind of showing this really shady dark side that Paulie has. Any thoughts on that scene there, Kyle?
Yeah, it makes you wonder what Paulie's relationship was with Adrian. Obviously, you knew it was bad before, but he seemed more verbally abusive before, but then you hear this as well. Maybe he's just being hyperbolic, but even so, it's just like there's that little dark side of Paulie that's still there.
Yeah, the bat, Christmas. Everybody remember that?
Best Christmas dinner ever.
Like, clearly the guy's unhinged.
Yeah, he's very unhinged to get that bat. And, I'll break both of your arms so you can't use them no more. And yeah, definitely some violent. What did he do to Adrian before Rocky won? I don't know. It's sad. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure Adrian's quite glad she's not living with him anymore. But they still seem to be, even though they're living away from Paulie, they still seem to be pretty close. Like no matter what Paulie does to screw them over or offend them, they always seem to kind of mend fences with Paulie. There's like that unconditional friendship and relationship there.
Can you imagine if Paulie's personality was in Rocky's body and then Rocky's personality was in Paulie's body?
Horrible.
I don't think nature would allow that to happen.
Well, if it did, it'd be the Hulk movies.
Yeah.
All right, so let's tie up that scene. We'll just stop here. So we'll stop here. We're going to hit stop, and we'll just do a re-invite for the next half hour, 40 minutes.
It says, okay. How much time does it say there?
Oh, 7 minutes. You want to keep talking? We'll keep talking. 6 minutes, 50 seconds.
Let's burn it to the filter.
Let's go the distance.
Let's go the distance. Go the distance with our free software. Okay. We're going the distance with our free software. Okay. Next scene was, I sent you guys in that message. I had it all laid out, and I did that so I would have it to follow.
Please disable the comments on the YouTube video, Ryan, for the love of God.
We probably won't get any views anyway, so it's fine.
Okay, fair enough.
All right, Rocky is now in the basement punching the punching bag, letting some steam out. He just sold the car. He's feeling down about life, down about himself, but he's also mulling over the idea that he wants to fight again and to make money for his family as a provider. But to fight again, he's got to go through the boss, which is his wife. And we're all married, and we all know that the bosses in our families are our wives. And even Rocky in 1979 had to get his wife's kind of permission or approval to do this. So anyone want to speak to Rocky punching the punching bag, and Adrian comes down and they have their discussion? Ruben?
I was just thinking, and I was about what I'm thinking is probably not true because I'm scared to say it. And so what I was thinking was, I'm the boss in my house, but then I was scared to say that, so it makes me think that maybe I'm not.
Well, was it a Voltaire who said, those who rule over you are the people that you can't criticize?
Well, I have nothing bad to say about you, Ryan.
Yeah. Well, I'm butchering the quote, but the idea is that's kind of how, or yeah. Well, but what were we saying? Oh, yeah.
Well, okay.
There, sorry. I didn't really have a big contribution there.
No.
Go ahead.
Okay. So Adrian doesn't know Rocky's been laid off at this point.
That's right.
She's wondering what he's doing home so early, which is weird because it's not like he walked in the door or anything, right? He's in the basement. He looks like he's been there for a while. So maybe she saw him come in early. There's a side door, maybe.
Yeah,
sure.
Side door to the basement. But he said, "Dook on that bag." Wait, yeah, fair, good film flop catch there. Continuity. What do you call that? Continuity. Yeah, continuity. That's the word.
Continuity. Yeah. There's some plausible reasons it could be like that. Adrian could have just said that, but anyways. So she's wondering why he's home. I think she probably knows why, but she said, "What's happening?" And he's like, it's just economics, So he got laid off instead of fired, I guess. But
yeah, that's right. He referred the laying off as economics. I love it.
Okay. Yeah, which is probably not wrong. But just go ahead, Ruben.
Completely unrelated. Okay, so a few years.
That's what you're known for. Go ahead.
This is reminding me of something that happened. So a few years ago, I'm getting a ride with this guy from church, okay? And he's got like sport car racing seats in his Honda CRX, and I can barely fit in it. And it's like double lap seat belts. I'm like, oh, you must like driving, because I love driving. And I said, oh, okay, good for you. Well, I knew he's a taxi cab driver, so I'm like, well, I'm glad. I guess it's a good thing that you drive cab. And he's like, yeah, I used to do a long haul trucking. I just love that. I'm like, oh, how come you don't do that anymore? Well, one time I was going to go out for a long time, and before I even left and got to the ferries, we live on an island, so you got to leave to go on a ferry. I went through an intersection, and a car ran the red light and T-boned the car, and then he began to describe the carnage of the people that were killed, and he went into shock. He couldn't finish his drive home, and so he went home early. He goes home early just after seeing him accidentally killing these people. He goes home, he opens up the door, and his wife is in bed naked with another man. And he then snaps. Goes, and the next thing I knew, that the police were pulling me off as I was beating this guy in my front yard. And so that's why I don't do long haul trucking anymore. And I'm just driving, oh, okay. It was I gave a PG version of the story. It was very, very intense. It seared in my brain. And so anytime somebody talks about coming home early, I wasn't expecting you home early. I think of that. Just that story.
What church were you driving home from? The Church of Satan?
Well, that'd be part 2, less than a minute.
All right. Well, hey guys, this is Free Software Part 1 ending. Stand by for reinvite.
Oh, one more thing.
Yeah. Oh, you got a minute and a half. You got 90 seconds.
Oh, really? It just says less than a minute on my end. That's why I just stopped.
All right. We can just look at each other admiringly, but we don't know. You got to talk in order to get the look in, Rube.
Ruben likes looking at himself.
Who's talking? I don't see myself.
All right. Hey, we got one
You
scene.
don't see yourself?
Well, I see Kyle.
Oh, I have it where I could see the 3 of you at the same time.
I see the 3, but I think mine, when it's highlighted green, that's who's the main person.
Correct, and that's what's been recorded, or that's what you'll visually see when this video gets played on YouTube. When the 3 people that watch this on YouTube, they'll see whoever's.
I think we're looking at the 3 people right now.
All right. Okay, well, stand by for reinvite. 1, 2, 3. Bye-bye.